You're listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast, the number one resource online for under 35-year-olds, where we chat twice a week to the most inspiring entrepreneurs in the world. We have it all. If you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or actionable tips to help you transition from that job into a business, or if you're ready to take that business to a whole new level, then this is the place to be. Get ready to live life on your own terms.
Youngpreneurs Podcast, episode number 181 with your host, Victor Ahipene. What's up, world? Another day, another podcast. And today, super excited because I've just finished 2 days of intensive business building training with some experts in Australia who were actually hosting an event about 300 meters from my house called Clinic Mastery. And as some of you may know, one of my ventures is I've got a physio clinic, and so part of that is obviously the fastest. Well, one of my things is that the fastest way from where you are to where you want to be is to mold off those who have done what you're doing and have gone through all the pains and perils. So I obviously want this clinic to be as efficient as it possibly can, and I want to learn as much about improving these 1%ers and sometimes 10%ers, 100%ers that are going to make my life easier and create a better business. So what I thought I'd do, because there are a lot of learnings that were very applicable to all aspects of business, and these guys at Clinic Mastery, check them out if you're a healthcare practitioner. They run these quarterly, and each one's based on a different theme, and this time's theme was about the experience. So the experience of the client coming into your clinic. And so they talked about a few things, and you might hear my book rustling in the background because I'm gonna talk about a few things. It started off with a cool magician who I'm actually going to get on the show. He was doing some magic tricks and showing it how some of the psychology and things like that related to sales and business. And then we had a guy talking about online marketing. We've obviously had a lot of that on the show, so you can shoot back to that. So I won't jump into there, but I want to kind of jump into the overarching points of it. So this new client journey, and it's something that I had in place, but it was nowhere near good enough. And so what they're thinking about, and you can think about this as well, is before an appointment, during the appointment, and after the appointment is when the journey starts. So it may be their first interaction with your website, or in this case, they have a look at the website. They might look at some of the social media pages. How does that reflect? What does that give them? Does that give them an enjoyable experience, or is it a cluttered website? When they ring the reception, or if they book online, what's that process like? And then there were some really interesting points, which I think will probably give a few of you some aha moments, is like the email or the SMS that that a lot of them send out to make this experience good, is giving people an option of what to expect when they come to the clinic. So it's like a video, and it might be like, hey, I'm Vic, this is outside the clinic, I'm currently in the car park, but come on through, I'll show you exactly where to come into the clinic, and this is where you're going to meet out, and you have a video showing the staff that they'll meet at the front desk, what they do once they get there, where the bathrooms are, what the session may look like, and really just getting the patient comfortable. So building some of that know, like, and trust that I've spoken about before in a fashion before they've even met you, and it breaks down a lot of barriers. And there's other things like being able to fill out their details. You often go to a health practitioners, a doctors, a physio, whatever it is, and you fill out, you get in there 15 minutes early to fill out paperwork, whereas they've created systems that people are able to do that. They can open an email, fill it all out, and they get about 50% of people who do that, and they can turn up. But that all happens before the appointment. When people get to the appointment, and this was really interesting. So they talked about a dentist who took down all his advertisements. He locked the front door, and he made it a very, very exclusive dentistry because he was just getting burned out with the same rigmarole. And then people would have to go up, they'd have to have an appointment. It was only existing clients unless by invitation, and they would come and buzz in at the door, they'd get let in, they'd get led to a certain room, and they'd get a hot drink made for them, and then they would meet with they'd sit in some nice comfy seats, and they'd meet with the dentist, and they'd discuss things and get to know and build rapport. And then from there they kind of created this whole experience. So then if the dentist liked working with that particular person, he'd give them 2 gold referral cards that they could give to friends who think that they would enjoy this experience and seeing him as a dentist. So his clinic was busy, he was doing more of what he enjoyed with his ideal client. And this was what was really interesting, because it doesn't really matter what industry you're in, but we put all these things about why you wouldn't go back to a particular place. So why wouldn't you go back to a doctor's? And everyone was shouting out ideas on bad experiences they'd had, say, at a doctor's. The waiting room was messy, the front desk weren't very friendly, the doctors just rushed through, they weren't listening, all these sorts of things. And what we found was, there's probably 15 things up on the board, and maybe 2 of them were related to the actual doctor's skill. Okay, so what that says is, the minimum benchmark is you go to a doctor expecting that they've got their qualifications. Everything that's going to make you enjoy it and want to stay, and they call it this nocebo effect, is you coming to the doctor and being greeted, maybe being able to fill out your paperwork early once you get in there. And they were saying, rather than having, say, a water machine in there, what you can have is your staff offer them a nice herbal cup of tea, and that cup of tea or that water is brought out to them on a nice silver tray and really nice cutlery, and it's brought out to them. Or little things like having your name on a document, and so when you walk in, if you haven't filled out your paperwork, it's got a, "Hey Victor, welcome to the clinic, just fill out these things below." It's just printed out before they come in, and people are greeting you by your name when you come in. And it was all these little things, like, one physio practice had hired a barista, and people would get their own coffees, and it had massage chairs, and it just gave these people a better experience. So they looked forward to going to these places. And of course, what it did then was create raving fans, which we're going to jump into shortly. But then they were also talking about after the appointment, and they gave some really interesting stats about restaurants. So if you go to a restaurant and have a flawless experience, you're 40% likely to go there again. If you have that same experience the second time, you're 40% likely to go back for a third visit. If you have that for a third visit, you're again 40% likely. But then if you have that same experience on the fourth visit, you're 70% likely to go back again. So what that really says is, as you build rapport and show this consistency and show a phenomenal experience, it exponentially increases your likelihood. So, as business owners, it doesn't really matter. We've got to provide the follow-up, not just at the appointment, and not just make a good coffee, or not just provide a good medical care, but it's that after the appointment. It's those touch points. It's following up with maybe a courtesy call, or a text message, SMS, or sending them an email, giving them a gift that makes them remember you after your first appointment. Just all these little things that build upon each other to create a great client journey. And there was obviously a whole weekend of this sort of stuff, but one of the main things was they talked about, and I'll go over this quickly, but it was there's 7 steps to creating raving fans. And raving fans are those evangelical people that you have in your business who refer you a ton of business, who tell all their friends about you, who are the life of the party when they walk in. But there's these 7 steps to get a person from not knowing about your business to becoming a raving fan. And so the first step is target, and it's who are the people who you enjoy working with. So you're targeting the right people. And Why might they benefit from your service, or who will benefit from your service? What solutions are they looking for? Like, they're not just looking for a doctor. Are they looking for better health? Are they looking to stop being sick? Are they looking to get travel vaccinations? Are they looking to get rid of their back pain, or just get out of pain? Or are they looking to get stronger? All these different things. What solutions are you looking for? And then getting your ideal client through there. So how old are they? What do they do? Where do they hang out? Those sorts of things. So your target avatar. Second step is your prospect, is when they're a prospect. So they've, in the case of a physio, they've phoned and booked for their first appointment, and what is the experience that they have after that? So they might get a pre-employment email, a courtesy text message, maybe a phone call from your receptionists, and an info pack. They might get all of those sorts of things, and then that person. So we're 3 steps in. The third step is they're a shopper. And that's the person who has then turned up for their first appointment. And what you've got to do there to take them to the next step. So you're just looking to take people from one step to the next step to the next step. You're not going to change them from step 1, a target client, into a raving fan. And so the shopper is, you're going to look to induct them into your business really well. Even if it's your admin staff, if they're on the phone, acknowledging them, and then taking them through the process of how your business works. Maybe getting them to fill in some paperwork, and you're doing all of this throughout it. And it's not till then, when they first walk into, say, in the health professional world, your treatment room, that they actually become a client. So there's 3 whole steps to turning them to a raving fan before they're even a client. And this is basically your first benchmark. And it's, when you can provide a plan for them, you can refer them on to other health professionals, you can follow them up with nurture phone calls, and you can do all these brilliant things. And so you're only at like the 4th one of them being a client, and then they become a member, which is like when you bring them into your community and you look to acknowledge them for all the value. So you might get feedback forms, you might ask them for referrals, might even create a loyalty system so they become a part of your business, and special offers particularly for them. Once they transition for that, and you'll notice that they become advocates, like massive advocates of your business. So they're referring lots of people, that they're telling their friends, they're constantly coming back for more treatments, they love the whole atmosphere. And you want to look at doing things like acknowledging them, thanking them, and maybe giving them gifts or phone calls just to say thanks. And some of those advocates, so not all of them, but some of them, will turn into raving fans. They'll be the ones that walk into your store and they know all the staff members by name, and they know their families, and they're dragging their friends along to your business, or booking appointments for them, or different things. And it's turning those people into raving fans, because those raving fans are the ones that you can seriously build a business off. And if you can get enough of those, and again, you're wanting to reward them and keep them front of mind, you're going to create an amazing business. So without a lot of info in there, but what I challenge all of you to do is have a think over the next few minutes about the business that you're in, whether you're an employee, whether you're starting your own business, whether you've got a business that's growing and doing well. What is your client's experience? Even if it's an online business, what's the experience like once they've signed up to your website? What's the experience like once they get into a Facebook group that you put them into, or an email campaign, or are you giving them a phone call? How are you turning them from searching on your website into raving fans that are tagging you in all these different posts and referring their friends and sending you business and all these, and becoming the best testimonials that you can possibly have? Because I think if you can nail those sorts of things, it means you've got to try and make as many of those prospects at the start turn into raving fans at the end. And if you have holes in your business system and you're not taking people through that journey, you're going to miss out on a lot of raving fans. And those are the people that can help, really help exponentially grow your business. So that's my challenge for today. The next episode, I'm going to talk to you about one of the speakers and how he has been working to change a paradigm and how an industry is built, which is the physiotherapy industry. But what I think is that this again is going to be really, really important for a lot of people, because It hasn't been easy, but you're not just in competition, and this is something I learned on the weekend. You're not just in competition. Let's say you're a hairdresser with the hairdresser across the road. When it comes to your customer experience, you're in competition with the airlines. You're in competition with Uber, with Airbnb, with Amazon, because people are comparing their customer experience to all these other companies, not just to the other hairdresser in your suburb that I've tried out. They're comparing it to everybody, and that'll set the benchmark. So what I'm going to talk about is somebody who is changing that benchmark and really doing cool things for an industry and also for better outcomes with his clients. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be applicable for all of you. I'll see you all next week, and as always, guys, keep living life on your own terms.
Thanks for listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast. This was proudly brought to you by the Podcast Institute, the #1 training resource to take your business from chasing leads to leads chasing you, and from an absolute amateur to a full-blown authority. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, then a podcast is the obvious answer. You can get national and global exposure in a very fast time, and it's just exactly what I've done with this podcast. So if you want to find out more, get a checklist on how you can get started for under $60, and to find out more through a small training video that I've prepared for you all, then please check out passiveincomeyoung.com/podcast training.